Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bakhair Angele, Di Hao, Tunashume, Washmale, Ohio, Gonzaimes, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal, Hale Shuma Chatore, Ahlan Masalan Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabiam, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned in to BTV World and watching World this morning. Thanks to the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very good looking Miss Shiza Hashmi and myself, Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing on a very fine morning over here in Islamabad?
I'm doing absolutely great, absolutely mesmerized by the clouds all over the city, ladies and gentlemen. If you do belong to Islamabad or if you have ever lived in Islamabad, you know this place will have your heart for long, right?
Yes, and that's you being honest. And ladies and gentlemen, today while I was actually driving towards work, I think half of the time, it's not something which I should be saying on television, but half of the time, yes, I was Snapchatting because the clouds look so serene and they look so surreal that I was like, okay, it needs to be shared with the outer world as well.
Right.
And whenever I post a video, this is something which I get in response or in reply, and that is that, brother, you're blessed to actually live in a very beautiful city. And I think that we're blessed to actually not just live in a beautiful city, but a beautiful country as well.
Oh,
and we
most
call
definitely.
it Pakistan.
Most definitely so. And Shazad, speaking specifically about Islamabad, I just feel like this is such a treasure. And well, fingers crossed, I really hope few years down the lane this doesn't get spoiled as a lot of other places in the world, not only in Pakistan. But I think the message for today I'm going to derive from what you said, how you were Snapchatting while driving. Yes, you took responsibility of being a little careless. It's all right, be careful next time. But it's just that, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people tend to forget that they have to abide by the traffic rules while they are using their mobile phones. First of all, if you're in the driving seat and if you're calling someone or just using your phone, you ought to be charged. I mean, you ought to be fined. If someone catches you, you cannot really run away from that particular situation. It was your fault. Secondly, Shazad, we have seen a lot of selfies or TikTok videos or, Snapchats even just for the sake of thrill or just for the sake of entertainment, just going beyond limits and performing something so dangerous and then not being able to pull it off, unfortunately. So please just don't do it for the gram. I mean, I know it's really fun just doing it, but be really careful of yourself, your surroundings, and the people that love you.
Thank you very much for saying that. I think that you've actually highlighted a very important issue, and it's very pivotal, ladies and gentlemen, because you leave your loved ones at home, and then when you're out and about, what you do is that you actually do not think about what can be the repercussions of your actions. And I think everybody needs to consider that whatever action he or she is taking, there will be repercussions, because I've seen a lot of people doing pranks, and to be very honest, this is a very sad incident. Somebody did a prank, and in response, in repercussion, somebody shot them. And I think this is something which we do not want for our kids. So for all of those parents who are out there, because we see kids as young as 12 and 13, 14 years old making TikTok and all kinds of videos so that they can get more and more likes. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not put your life in danger just because of one like or million likes or 100,000 likes, because your life is more valuable.
For your 5 minutes of fame, just don't do that.
Exactly.
Other than that, Shazad, a lot of students are finally, in a few weeks probably, or in a few days, going back to school. All sorts of educational institutions are supposed to open, especially after the longest summer vacation someone ever had, right? I think when we were kids, this was sort of a dream of ours as well, that the vacation does not end and we tend to, or we get to have the vacation throughout the year. But now that it has actually happened in reality, I think it's really scary for everyone. But for the ones who are joining back, here's a good thing. A lot of students happen to be introverts and not really comfortable in their situation as well. A lot of people unfortunately happen to be bullies and get their hands on to such, I want to say, vulnerable students or gullible students who actually get bullied a lot. So the good thing is Shafqat Mahmood Sahab actually took a brilliant step, and through FDE, the Federal Directorate of Education, he notified that all the educational institutions in Islamabad, which happen to be around 423, they are supposed to make anti-harassment and anti-bullying committees, and well, strict actions should be taken against all those who break the rules of the committee as well. And I really hope this actually gets in place too and gets to be a permanent part of all sorts of institutions as well, so that people, students, or all the stakeholders can feel safe.
And wonderful it is. It's a great initiative. Let me assure you, Shiza, over here, that because now recently, when for all of those people who've actually been to school like 2 decades ago or a decade ago, or probably even us, because it's been like, 13 years that I've actually kind of went back to school, So ladies and gentlemen, when we speak about harassment and all of these issues, the most important part is that even in today's time, when we see people who actually complained about that they were bullied in schools, they are mentally upset, and we really do not want other kids to actually make other kids' future very upsetting. So I think that this is one of those initiatives which we really need to kind of appreciate. So Shafqat Mahmood Sahab, you've done a great job, and ever since you've actually taken over the chair, I think that you're really doing a very wonderful job. All our support is with you, and we will continue to strive for excellence together.
Yes.
But not just that, ladies and gentlemen, there's another fundamental of the society, and that is women. Now, whenever we talk about women, ladies and gentlemen, I think that there's this very surreal kind of feel to them, and it's because of the fact that they're mothers, they're sisters, they're wives, and they have so many roles to play that they cannot just be bounded to their houses. In today's time, when we speak about women, ladies and gentlemen, the global population of women is somewhat around 56%.
More than half, yes.
Yeah, more than half. So how can we actually move ahead, or the economy of the country can move ahead, if the women is not going to contribute towards the economics of the country? And not just that, not just the economic side of it, but then at the same time, I think that we really need to give them equal opportunity to prove themselves, and not even proving themselves, in fact coming up with newer ideas. And it's a research says that wherever there's a woman who's actually heading an institution, that institution is more likely to get more profits and be more stable.
True, absolutely true. Before we do move on to our brilliant guest over here, just very quickly, before the show, I was in conversation with one of our other guests. We were in the room and talking. He said that he visited Bajor agency a few months back, or probably a year back or so. Yeah. And all the women over there had sort of taken charge of, all the, of course, household chores, yes, but jobs outside of the house as well. They were literally doing all the, I want to say, chores or things that we associate with men. Yeah. I mean, we just sort of have agreed that those roles are supposed to be performed by men. Yeah. Well, women were doing them too. And he asked the people, and he asked the locals about how this change happened. And they said, well, while all the men were away fighting in the very unfortunate period that the agency had to go through, the women took charge of the situation. And when the men came back, they sat down and talked about the whole situation, how if we do not move together, shoulder to shoulder, there is no moving forward. And that's what they did. And I think this is an example we can all learn from.
Exactly. And I've got another example as well, which actually comes straight from my house as well.
Really?
And that is that my sisters actually happen to be doctors as well, and all of them, alhamdulillah, have clinics. So just recently on this Sunday, when we were together, all of us, brothers and sisters, so, I was in conversation with one of my sister, and she was like, what, it's really not fair. I actually have to look after, or whether the driver's taken the car to get to pick up the kids or not, or probably the groceries are there or not, and then I have to go and check the patients. Meanwhile, my husband's just out there, probably trekking, up on the mountains and hills as well. He does not take any responsibility. And I was like to her, once you actually opted for this role of yours, which you have right now in life, I don't think that there's any complaining. Whether we should complain or not is something else. But ladies and gentlemen, we really need to work hand in hand so that we make sure that each segment of the society is fulfilling and contributing towards the progress of the country. And to talk about that, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by empowered women over here in the studios with us. Ladies and gentlemen, first up, we have the Vice Chairperson, Women Development Punjab. She happens to be Miss Noreen Farooq Khan Saiba. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum, good morning.
Good morning, Assalamu Alaikum.
Alaikum Assalam, and thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Likewise. You invited me for this program.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Likewise. And ladies and gentlemen, alongside her, we actually happen to have been joined by a Chairperson, Complaint Cell CM Punjab. She happens to be a human rights activist herself. She's none other than Miss Mehna Saeed. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum, good morning.
Assalamu Alaikum. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I'm very happy to join this program.
It's our pleasure, ma'am, to have both of you together, first of all, to talk about something so important. So I think before we dig into, the roles that you have to perform as the designation you have, I think I'm going to start with something very basic because I want to understand what you think about it. What do you think empowering women means?
You are asking me? Or
both of you. Let's start with you, ma'am.
Okay. The women are empowered all the time, and we are, as we go back in our history and we go through the history of Islam and the other history, the women were always empowered by, and our religions also give us more empowerment than any other religion. Absolutely. As we go back, Hazrat Khatija used to be a businesswoman at that time, and he used to control her business. And then as we came more forward, then there was Hazrat Zubaida, in Egypt, and she used to build a Suez Canal, and there are the queens Saba, and there is a queen Noor Jahan. Basically, women are always empowered, and they got equal chances, and they are better. As he was saying, the women do work more better than men.
Yes.
Wherever there is a woman, there is a pleasant environment in the whole office. It's more friendly, it's more beautiful environment as compared to and comfortable. As women are soft-hearted as a mother and as a sister, and as the women are more stronger than men because they bore a child. And when a child is born, there are, I think, more than 42 bones are broken as equal to giving birth to the child.
Exactly.
So these are all things, and we are much more empowered. There are certain issues and there are certain problems which are to be catered. And they will be catered with the time, and we are developing and we are doing much better in all the aspects of the society. As yesterday, our Human Rights Minister, Shiri Mazari, met Prime Minister, and they went to the jail reforms. The women who are in jail, what we are doing for those women. So we are thinking, we are doing, we are developing. It takes time.
And we are going to come back to this.
Process.
We are going to come back to this, ma'am. But over here, you know, let me be very clear, ladies and gentlemen, that over here it's not a comparison in between who's better, whether men or women. You know, we all know that everybody needs to contribute towards the progress of the country, which is great. But let me assure you over here that what she said is right. It's because of the fact that majority, in fact, all of the men are raised by women, and those are mothers. You know, when we go to primary school, you know, all of those teachers are women. So, you know, there is this, you know, there's this something which tells me from inside, and that is that, you know, I don't think that I've actually seen anybody more beautiful, more calm, and more serene than women, and I think that they can multitask better than men.
Absolutely, that's beautiful, Shazad. Thank you so much for saying that, and thank you so much for holding that mentality, of course. But moving on to you, Ma'am Minaz, the question remains the same. I want to understand what empowering women means for you, especially now that, well, let's all agree you are in a position of power, right? You are seeing things from an upper hand and not from the downtrodden segment of the society where most of the women have to face issues.
Thank you, Shuza. This subject is very good. The point is very important in our life, you know.
Of course.
Actually, I'm not like this. I am a woman, so I'm protect only or protection only for the women.
Yes, of course.
Without man, we are nothing.
So we have to coexist.
Yeah. So first of all, we accept this. The same, the male and the female, they accept it, and the main power comes.
Okay.
Yeah. This is my point. And I'm working with this point.
All right.
Yeah. So मैं इसको थोड़ा उर्दू में इसलिए करना चाहूँगी कि हमारे जो वो रूरल एरियाज हैं जो जिसके लिए मैं यहाँ पे आई और मुझे empowerment की जहाँ पे ज़रूरत है.
Sure.
When we talk in English, so they have a power.
Okay.
So they can face, they can go, they can put the application, they can fight.
Right.
But we work for those women, they don't know anything.
Okay.
So that's why I'm using the both languages.
Please, please.
Your show is in English.
No problem.
So आपके इस प्लेटफॉर्म से ये क्योंकि बहुत बड़ा माशाल्लाह पीटीवी का जो प्लेटफॉर्म है वो देहातों गाँव वो खातून भी मुझे देख रही होगी जहाँ से मैंने इलेक्शन कंटेस्ट किया.
बिल्कुल.
तो अगर मैं इस तरह की बात करूं जो उसके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है, जो इस प्लेटफॉर्म से उसको कुछ डेवलपमेंट मिलेगी या उसका ब्रेन जो है वो काम करना शुरू या वो किसी प्रॉब्लम में है, अगर उसने मुझे देख लिया और हमारे इस प्लेटफॉर्म के थ्रू अगर मैं उसको एम्पावर कर गई तो आई थिंक हमारा जो रीज़न है यहाँ पे आने का, बैठने का, मिलने का, तो वो कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. हमें एक्चुअली काम करने की ज़रूरत है द मेंटालिटी. ऐसा नहीं है कि वी डोंट हैव अ पावर्स. आप ये देखिए कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर इस वक्त ख़ास तौर पे जो पाकिस्तान तहरीक इंसाफ की इस वक्त जो गवर्नमेंट है, पिछली तमाम गवर्नमेंट्स के एवज पे आप देख लें, उसको कंपेयर करें तो हमारे पास जो वुमेंस के पावर्स हैं या वुमेंस की जो सीट्स हैं, लाइक नॉट रिजर्व सीट्स, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द रिजर्व सीट्स, जो इस वक्त हमें लाइक मैम शी इज़ हियर, आई एम हियर, तो ये चीज़ें पहले इतनी ज़्यादा अवेलेबल नहीं थी. आप बैक हिस्ट्री पे जाएँ, 72-78 ईयर्स हमें माशाल्लाह यहाँ पे हो गए हैं. हमारे पास इतनी पावर्स और इतनी एम्पावरमेंट नहीं थी. आज हम बोल सकती हैं. पहले आप मुझे बताइए कौन सी खातून, कौन सा घराना बाहर निकल के आपको डायरेक्टली आप अपने हस्बैंड के खिलाफ, अपने इन लॉज के खिलाफ, अपने ब्रदर के खिलाफ, अपने फादर के खिलाफ कहाँ पे जाके कंप्लेन कर सकती थी? नॉट पॉसिबल, बट नाउ इट्स पॉसिबल. आप ये देखिए हम लोग जो है वो अभी so called, but I don't like.
Okay.
क्योंकि मैंने बहुत ट्रैवल किया है काफ़ी दुनिया में, बहुत सारे कंट्रीज़ को. हम लोग हर वक्त एक चीज़ का रोना रोते हैं कि हम लोग तरक्की याफ्ता नहीं, तरक्की पजीर हैं, हम अभी चल रहे हैं. नो डाउट. हम लोग क्योंकि न्यूली बोर्न है, जब एक बच्चा न्यूली बोर्न होगा तो उसको उस जगह पे पहुंचने पे जहाँ पे उसका फादर है या उसका ग्रैंडफादर था, तो इट्स टेक अ टाइम. नॉट द फर्स्ट.
So it's a gradual process.
Yeah. We have just years history, not 100 years history. तो हम कंपेयर करते हैं. सबसे बड़ी हमारी जो प्रॉब्लम है यूरोप को कंपेयर करना है. हम बैठे हुए हैं पाकिस्तान में जहाँ पे अभी हमें खाने के लिए प्रोवाइड करना बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है. गवर्नमेंट आप देखिए किन बुरे हालात से गुजर रही है और वो फेस कर रहे हैं, और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अभी हम लोग काफ़ी जगह पे बहुत बेटर हो चुके हैं. तो इंशाल्लाह आगे और भी बहुत अच्छा होगा.
Alhamdulillah. So ladies and gentlemen, what Miss Manaz is actually trying to refer to over here is, or the kind of conversation we're trying to have over here, she's saying that everything's going to take time, you know, and we need to give it time as well, and we need to address all of those issues which are prevalent within the society, and I think that's the way forward as well, because the message does not really need to come across as if it's been rubbed on your face. I think it needs to be a very subtle message, and continuous effort is actually going to make a gradual progression. I think that's what everybody is going to love, and that's something which everybody would agree to kind of contribute towards as well.
Yes. All right. So moving on to Ma'am Noreen over here. Now I'm going to talk about your particular department, women development. Ma'am, before the show, I asked you if women development only entails, you know, complaints regarding harassment, and you said no. It's an overall department.
Overall, there are certain things which we are doing for the developing women, and there are different courses, there are different technical skills, and we are guiding them. And this is not we are just taking the women who are widows and the girls who are dependent on, or they just wanted to learn, and we just wanted to empower them to start their business, to start the whatever the skill they are in excellence. So keeping in mind their aptitude and their trainings, and we are training them to develop on their own. So they don't have to be dependent, and they don't have to wait for the government stipend. That it's our obligatory duty to look after the poor and the widows. But if we empower them, they can do it for better, and it will be more better for their self-respect, integrity.
And self-esteem as well.
Yes,
and you've very rightly spoken about it as well, ma'am. But now I think the most crucial or the most essential question which needs to be posed over here is that when we look at figures, you know, we see that there are a lot of women who are actually dependent. There are a lot of women who are actually, not just women, obviously men as well, who are dependent on their brothers or probably father, or I won't say dependent on father, because father I think is a very different
Let's
figure.
make it clear.
No,
though, are we talking about financially
There may
dependent?
be orphans. There may be
all kinds of
orphans.
independence.
Yes, there may be orphans.
Yes, we're talking about all kinds of independence. So when we have a larger chunk of such people who are dependent on other people, how do you think that you will cater to the needs of all of them? Because that's what the problem. That's where the problem arises. The people say, yes, we do have a department, we do have people who are looking after us, but they cannot look after like 100,000 people. They might have the capacity to look after 20 people, 30 people, or 1,000 people. So how are you expanding on this? Because your department needs to work on it.
No, basically there are many other departments, as we got Betul Mal, and we got the SAS program, and SAS program is catering the needs of orphans, the widows, the men, the jobless people, and the peasants, and every aspects. And there is also a youth development programs, and we are giving them loans to start their business.
Wonderful.
And these are the government have many policies. There is a women development department, there is a status for women, and there are other, and we have given rights not to men, only women as parallel, as they are the wheels of the same vehicle. So we move with the strong pace with each other together for the development of the country, and it takes time. But there is an initiative. We have taken the initiatives. There are many initiatives to be taken, and we are the, I think we are the most sensitive people. As our Prime Minister, he is more sensitive about the community and the community figures, and he is trying to develop the program that they are all to be look after.
Exactly, and that's wonderful as well. And ladies and gentlemen, as the time passes by, I think I'm in love with my premier as well, Mr. Imran Khan
Same
Sahab.
here.
and the world's loving him as well. And
yes, he is declared number one.
Exactly,
Man of
the year.
The great man.
Yes, he's been declared number
Who
one
have
as well.
power.
And And he is number one indeed, and
Yeah.
there's
Mashallah.
no doubt in it. But in the end, ma'am, there's one last thing which I would like to ask you before we wrap up this segment, and that is, since you happen to be the chairperson for Complaint Cell CM Punjab. Now, complaints can be of any sort, and there's no description to it whether it is women oriented or it's men oriented. Or what I'm going to ask you over here is that, you know, taking complaints is one is a different thing, but responding to complaints is a different thing. How many complaints have you received so far since the time you've been the chairperson, and how many of those complaints have been resolved? I think that's how we're going to analyze whether we're working in the right direction or not.
The analyzation, before that, before this government, when I'm talking about the government, so it's again the question, just promote the government, But the reality is, before that, complaint cell, the CM Punjab, before that, the designation was there, but that was not working. That was dead. And now, if I receive 100, 200, more than, like I'm just talking about.
Okay.
So we sorted out 75% the daytime when we received. Yeah. And we have the system. जब हम लोगों ने एक आपकी इल्तिजा एक आ गई, तो हम एक रिस्पॉन्सिबल जगह पे बैठे हैं उसको सॉर्ट आउट करने के लिए. तो डजेंट मैटर कि उस पर कितना टाइम लगता है, इट्स टेक अ टाइम, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट प्रोसेस एक चीज़ है. मगर जब हमने वो रिसीव कर लिया, तो हमारा वो एज सुन एज पॉसिबल, जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब से, जो उस्मान बुज़दार साहब से हमें जो डायरेक्शंस मिली हुई हैं, वो इमीडिएट बेसिस के ऊपर उसको रिजॉल्व करने के लिए. तो सिर्फ बातचीत इस तरह की हो रही है कि काम नहीं हो रहा. Really, ये सिर्फ एक
propaganda. I think it's easy to complain, right?
It's propaganda. It's only propaganda. True. तो एक बात मैं आपके इस प्लेटफॉर्म से कहना चाहूँगी, बेधड़क किस्म की ख़वातीन भी और मर्द भी लेकर आते हैं कंप्लेंट्स, हम लोग उसको सॉर्ट आउट करते हैं. 75% वहीं पे ही ख़त्म हो जाती है, बिकॉज प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब की जो डायरेक्शंस हैं, उस्मान बुज़दार साहब की जो डायरेक्शंस हैं, ऑलमोस्ट हम 75% उसको रिजॉल्व करके दैन निकलते हैं. 25% जो रह जाती हैं उसमें ऐसी है कि कोई प्रोसेस में कोई कमी रह गई, या आपका we don't have like the all data right now, so we can't deal with that.
That's wonderful, and I think that's the way forward as well. But thank you very much, Empowered Women, for being over here on the show as well. It was lovely to be in conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
But ladies and gentlemen, what Ms. Manaz was saying over here was that, you know, for all of those people who make complaints, whether 100, 200 or 300, 75% of...
we receive 7,000 complaints a day.
Okay, 7,000 complaints a day means that, you know, they probably result, because she's saying that it's 75% of the complaints are actually dealt with in a day's time, which means that 6,000 to 5,000 complaints are resolved every single day.
It's a lot, man.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
It's quite a lot, and I think that it is very hard for me to even kind of accept this fact that, you know, that the government is working on this space as well. But, you know, kudos to you people as well who are actually working day in, day out as well. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have to head out towards a short break. It's your, mine, and everybody's responsibility to make sure that every member of the society is contributing towards the progression of the country.
And every member feels included as well. This is the way forward too. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more, because within a minute or so, we will be right back. Good morning.
Good morning.
after the late King Faisal bin Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, who supported and financed the project.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, with the very handsome, energetic Shazad Khan and Shaza Hashmi here in the studios of BTV World. Well, in the first segment, I feel like I am really high-spirited right now, especially because we spoke about something so important and relevant, and I would say timeless as well. I really hope, it does get better, the situation of empowering women in the future as well. But Pakistan is on the right track. We had the facts, so we're here in the studio, and I feel like the incumbent government is definitely going in the right direction and doing a great deal.
Exactly, and I've got some very apt examples to share with all our viewers out there as well. But very quickly before, ladies and gentlemen, right after we came back from the break, she said, "Oh, very handsome," and then she kind of stuttered in between, and then I was like, okay, whether she wanted to say it or not is something different, but energetic for sure. Thank you very much for the compliment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we started this program 7 years ago almost, and when we started, we obviously had such topics under discussion where we were talking about women empowerment.
Yeah.
And since then, I think I've seen quite a lot of change. And I've seen it from my own eyes. I've witnessed it myself. Now, when we talk about our armed forces, we get some women, obviously, as cadets too as well, not just that GD pilots. And, they're serving the community in the best of the manners as well. So I think kudos to our military as well. But not just that, Air Force, police, Pakistan Navy, every institution has made sure that they are going to actually give them that support which they require, and that network and that support system which will actually enable them to work as well. Not just TV channels, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, when you go to schools and universities, you see women teaching kids, a lot of them. When you go to banks, when you go to any corporate office, you will definitely see women playing their role and playing their part. And it has happened because of the fact that women actually wanted to do something, and they had this courage within their own selves that we are going to step outside, we're going to look for jobs, and we're going to get to work, and we're going to make sure that we actually empower ourselves and other women around us. So I think that big cheers to everybody who's actually made sure that they're going to contribute towards women empowerment. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I think that there's one thing without which it is very difficult to kind of feel empowered.
Okay.
And that's clothing. Because whenever you're going to dress up well, dress up nice, put a good perfume or cologne, you'll be like, okay, I'm worthy of giving a presentation.
Absolutely.
And this is something which actually gives you that feeling of being empowered, when you look nice, when you dress up well as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think today what we're going to do is that we're actually going to talk about men's fashion, not just that, how our fashion has been perceived by the outer world, and how was it bridged in between Pakistan and the outer world as well. And we're very lucky that we've actually been we have been lucky that we have actually got our hands onto that bridge as well, who himself has been a craftsman. And not just that he's been taking all the craft to the outer world, sharing it with them on different platforms, and then making sure that there were people interested in wearing the kind of fashion Pakistanis do. And I think that I can't be more happier. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the creative textile and material developer, Mr. Asim Khan. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much, Asim. First of all, it's amazing to have you here in the studios.
Thank
Even
you.
though that you were born in England,
Yeah.
you were always found a common ground, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful. So the first things first, and that is, I know, Shiza, do you want to ask first, or do you want
I have some basic questions,
Okay, go
actually.
ahead.
I want to get off with the title. When you say you're a
Let's do this.
materials
Women
developer.
empowerment, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it looks. You need to give them opportunity. go
Thank you. I think we were born with the right to opportunities, but
Alhamdulillah.
yes.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so here's the question. When you talk about materials developer, a basic question. So now we're heading into the winters. So if this winter, let's say micro velvet is in fashion, is
What's
that you
micro velvet?
choosing?
No, it's not choosing, it's me putting ideas on the table with the
Okay.
clients I work for. Because I work, for the last 25 years, I've worked in the Western clothing, fashion and product industry. So, you know, it's, and I've worked all across the world, and you know, you meet different people in different places, and they have their own interpretations. So it's all about getting information from these people and then reinterpreting it and then putting it on the table with my clients, and then they choose, you know. Because right now, you know, within in the European or the Western fashion industry, you know, everything is out there. You know, it's each brand has its own identity, and from there they kind of reach out to trends and bring them in, but they do it in their own way. So if you went to, say, a department store in the UK like Selfridges, you know, you go in there and, you know, every trend you want, you'll find it there. It's just what kind of entices you or pulls you in, really. So it's kind of, that's what it's about right now.
And it's wonderful. Thank you very much for, you know, kind of letting us know that this is what it is about. But there's one question which I've always had in my head, and I never found the right person to actually ask that question. So today I think I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask this question. I'm not really sure about, you know, European or Western fashion shows, because obviously whatever they display, we can kind of see that on the street as well, or wherever, if we go to different events, we see people wearing those clothes or buying them online. But the kind of fashion shows happen over here in Pakistan with all those hats and, you know, all of those fancy dresses. It's so rare that I've actually seen anybody wearing them, you know, off the street. So, I mean, do you think that we're actually playing the game wrong, or do you think that we really need to relate our project with the need of the people as well?
I mean, first of all, I think what we have in Pakistan is very special, you know, and it needs to be real, and it needs to be done in the way.
But it needs to be Pakistani, no? We are drawing our inspiration from Europe and the Western world. Don't you think that, you know, for somebody who's actually bridging our gap with the Western world, needs to give them something which is very Pakistani?
Yeah, I think what he means to say, and what I totally agree with, is that the fashion industry in itself of Pakistan is highly aspirational. So they sometimes might tend to neglect what the common man needs. Is it true? And how can we bridge that gap?
Okay, so I'll give you an example, right? So I'm wearing a Pakistani kurta. Okay.
And we like it.
And, you know, I'm wearing some kerries. But then with it, I'm wearing a Prince of Wales check, which is very English, a pair of trousers.
No, I have it.
But yeah, it all goes together. It balances out. And it's just about kind of making people realize over in Pakistan that you can mix and match together, because you know what I see in Pakistan tends to be you either wearing Western clothes or, well, I'm generalizing, right? You're either wearing Western clothes or you're wearing shalwar kameez, you know?
It's two extremes.
It's two extremes. So it's all about bridging the gap and bringing it together. So that's kind of one of the reasons I'm in here in Pakistan, because one of my areas of work across the world, whether it's Japan or whether it's working with the Native American tribes in the USA, the Hopi tribes, is to kind of investigate crafts and, you know, handicrafts, hand-woven textiles, block printing, and to see how this can be reinterpreted for the Western market. So my wife, in Lahore, she's just set up a studio where it's not something that is for commercial purposes. It's a studio where we bring in artisans, we work with these artisans, see how they work, try to understand what they do, and then we go, okay, so this is how you work. We want you to stay true to your identity, but what if we gave you this idea? How would you interpret it? So then we kind of, and actually right now we've got 3 embroidery karigars that we've handpicked. My wife's been here for the last year. I mean, talking about women empowerment, my wife's been here by herself for the last year. You know, finding these people. I mean, she's a very strong character, but you know, finding these people and, you know, working with them, choosing the right people for us. And out of about 30 karigars, we've taken it down to 3, and they're working there. And I can't name the clients, but I'm working for 2 very big clients in Europe, men's, especially one in menswear, women's wear, and we're doing some work for them. And that's how I kind of work. I kind of go out there. I find people to work with, especially artisan and craftsmen, and we kind of sit down, we do the work, then we present it to the brands, and then they'll say, okay, we love this. Okay, what if we did it on a Prince of Wales check? What would it look like? How would we reinterpret it? So me and my wife, we've been on this journey in Pakistan, right? And we're kind of traveling everywhere. We're meeting people. We were supposed to be, we were supposed to be in Sindh this week, you know, with all the Ajrak people and everything, but they've had crazy, you know, weather over there. So I was in Islamabad. So lucky for you guys, I could be here. You know?
Thank you very much. And you know, I do totally feel lucky as well that I've actually finally met somebody who's bridging our gaps as well. But not just that. I know, Shiza, that you've got a very relevant question as well, but I have a very relevant incident to share with people, because over here in Pakistan, things can take a U-turn all of a sudden. And I'm very sorry to say that, but you know, this is something which happened to me just a few days ago. I was supposed to go to the gym, so I was in my gym clothes, was wearing a short, but I had to get a check cash from the bank. I went to the bank.
Check cash,
Yeah, I went to the bank. I was right there. The manager came out and he was like, you know, next time if you're coming to my bank, please make sure that you do not wear shorts. I was like, okay, I'm sorry if I've offended somebody, but you know, what else do you expect me to wear to the gym? You know, since I was headed to the gym, obviously that's what I'm going to wear. And then he was like, you know, we have women working over here. So I was like, you know, if men are being told to kind of control their eyes, why can't we say it to women? You know, if you're talking about women empowerment, I think equal opportunity needs to be given. Then I think equally we will actually have to protect our eyes for ourselves rather than complaining, oh look what that man is wearing. So please, people, don't do that. You know, since nobody's complaining what women's wearing, please don't complain what men's wearing. You know, I don't know where the world's going. So you know, the fashion itself, you know, raises quite a lot of question marks over here in Pakistan. Or look at that guy, you know, earlier when we used to see people with dhoti and banyan, now we've got a modern name to it, tank top. Now a tank top nobody would mind, but a banyan still people would mind. So you know, when the fashion gets tricky, how do you get hold of those people where they're like, you know what, they're escaping away, or they're making sure that they make you an scapegoat on that? So how do you make sure that, hey, no escaping? How do you do that? In terms of fashion or the kind of designs you kind of present in front of the people?
So if I was presenting the designs in Pakistan, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I would kind of first of all study the market, you know, because obviously, you know, okay, I am Pakistani, you know, but my time here in Pakistan has not been so long, you know. Obviously, I see people on the streets, what they're wearing, how they wear, you know, how they put things together. So, you know, I mean, I'd like to give you a straight answer, but I have to study the market and then, you know, study the people and then come back.
But you've already studied it because you're already wearing a kameez with Khediya as well, you know.
So I think that's what you found culturally relevant and appropriate.
No, I love wearing kurta and, you know.
Wow, wonderful.
Okay, that's brilliant. But Asim, now I want to talk.
I mean, I have a phrase, well, you guys have a phrase, Jaisa des, Vaisa
bes. Exactly.
Be a Roman. Okay, so here's the thing. Now, you are sort of, you know, looking into all sorts of handicrafts, not only fabric related, of course, and you want to present the Pakistani market to the international people as well. How can you make sure that the identity remains intact? So, for example, if you were to find Multani blue pottery very interesting, and you were to bring that particular thing to, let's say, Zara UK, and were to make sure that blue pottery Multani actually, you know, remains or sort of is associated with Pakistan still, how do you make sure?
Well, first of all, Zara wouldn't take the blue pottery from
this
Pakistan.
was an example.
They would replicate it, right? Okay,
So,
that's what they do.
So that's what they do. But if you took the blue pottery and you presented it to a brand who's on that high level, you know, obviously, I mean, one of the things that I'm really into is that, you know, wherever I find the product, I'm proud that it comes from there. So you tell the story, right? Who made it, where it was made, what it's taken to make, and you give a little booklet with the actual product. You know, I'm Pakistani, you know, like I was speaking to you earlier on, you know, I'm Pakistani, I'm English, you know, but what I tread is the middle ground where I try to bring a balance, you know, between the two. And that's how you bring balance.
But the moment of pride, you know, when people like us who have been in Pakistan all their lives, we do go abroad and come across something that belongs to Pakistan. Like I think I've spoken about this before as well. In a cafe in Amsterdam, there was a pink Himalayan salt and it said made in Pakistan or from Pakistan. And it was such a tiny thing or a tiny gesture, but it made me feel so good. I was literally Snapchatting it to everyone in my list as well. So, I mean, that's brilliant, right? To have sort of your nationality represented with something so beautiful across the globe as well.
So are you going to keep it intact as well? You know, when you go to Europe and you present it in front of other brands, you're like, okay, you know, this is the name and that's how it needs to be going in the market.
Yeah. I mean, if it's Pakistani, it will be presented as Pakistani. It will be sold as Pakistani.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. All
And that's
right.
how it
Very
works.
lastly, since we have to wrap up the show, we're short on time. Very quickly, I want you to answer a very important question that Shahzad and I always talk about. How can you make sure that you bring sustainable fashion to Pakistan on a larger scale, not just for one particular class?
Fashion sustainability is a big thing in Europe at the
Yeah.
moment, you know, well, across the world really. And, you know, there are brands out there who are doing a lot for this, and there's a
Yes.
lot of research. But, you know, for me, sustainability is, you know, making a good product that will last, right? Or you buy
quality.
Yeah, quality you will buy. So you buy your suit, right? Okay, so think about it. How many suits do you have in your wardrobe that have been there for more than 5 or 6 years?
I think all of the suits I'm wearing have been there for 5 to 6 years.
Wow. And you fit
That's
in them,
good.
that's brilliant.
Well, that must be good because you're buying a good material and it's lasting.
Exactly,
You know,
yeah.
it's, you know, there's this culture, well, pre-COVID,
Yeah.
and I don't know what it's going to be like after COVID. There's a culture in the Western world, right, which I hate, right, which is where this throwaway fashion. You know, you buy something, you keep it for a month, you throw it away.
Or
That's-
resale it.
Yeah, or resell it, depending on what it is. So, you know, this culture, there needs to be a break in break in this, and hopefully COVID will bring that break, because, you know, we take so much time in, you know, putting ourselves together, wearing what we want to wear, you know, and it should be quality, it should feel good.
Exactly.
It shouldn't
Definitely.
you shouldn't be like, okay, I've worn this one, throw it away.
But if you're
you know.
looking at Marie Kondo all the time, of course, you're going to be throwing all the stuff away as well. But thank you so much for being here, Asim. I think this
Thank
was
you.
very insightful for us to learn a lot
Exactly.
of
Glad
the
to
industry
be-
stuff from you
And
as
finally,
well.
we have somebody who's bridging our gap.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
terms
it's
of
brilliant.
fashion.
Yeah.
The idea
and
is great.
inshallah, you know.
Inshallah.
we
Good luck
work
to
into
you
the
and your
future.
wife on that.
Yeah,
And
thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen, it's definitely because of people like these that, you know, our carriers are actually made by international brands as well. Not just that.
Yeah.
Alchemy is readily available now if you go to Western countries, and I think that's a beautiful.
Sorry,
task.
there's one carrier, it's by a brand called Acne.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a Swedish brand, right? And they did a reinterpretation of the carry, and they were selling it for £500.
Oh, wow.
Right, but when you saw that carry, right? You know the material they used, and it was so rich and beautiful, right? But it was done in a Western way.
Yeah.
You know, and it was.
I
And
like
I
it,
can
I
see
like
the
it.
excitement on your face too as well, and that's the kind of excitement we have because it's Pakistan and it's a Pakistani product, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the way forward.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, I really hope you learned something from our show, as we always hope every other day, because we love to bring something informative to you every other morning as well. And if you did learn something, do let us know, or for any kind of feedback, write to us on our Facebook page with the name of,
Well, this morning on your television screens down below over here.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without G.
on YouTube.
YouTube, it's PTV World, and you look for the most viewed show, which is World This Morning. Alhamdulillah.
Yes, and then the repeat of this show you can catch at
5 past midnight, ladies and gentlemen. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning. Stay safe.